Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Now, common sense says to hope for the best but prepare for the worst. This government is hoping for the best and preparing for hoping for even better. The Alberta Party shadow budget uses a realistic oil price forecast that still balances within 4 years without cutting frontline public services. If the government's forecast is only off by $2 a barrel, they are in deep trouble, Mr. Speaker. To the Premier, how does an overly optimistic oil price forecast make...
Thank you, Honourable. Honourable Premier.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Again, the member opposite, when he says that he can cut what he is cutting without affecting frontline services, hasn't actually been in the room going over the budget. So I think that's the important thing to remember. But, Mr. Speaker, the other thing to remember is we've talked about balancing the budget by 23-24, but that is based on every risk adjustment going completely south, so it is the most conservative estimate possible. It takes into account the most conservative oil price projections over years and years and years, Mr. Speaker. So we're very confident that we've taken a cautious, careful approach. And
thank you, Honourable Premier. First supplemental.
If this is a cautious plan, I would hate to see a reckless plan, Mr. Speaker. Now, our plan budgets $500 million every year for disaster recovery and still balances in 4 years without cutting frontline public services. The government, on the other hand, budgets less than half that for disaster relief, even though their budget is well below the 10-year average of what disaster relief costs this province. To the Premier, how does that make life better for Albertans?
The Honourable Premier.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The way our budget makes life better for Albertans, and I thank you so much to the member opposite for asking that question, is we're cutting school fees by 25%, Mr. Speaker. We're putting a cap on electricity fees, Mr. Speaker. We are freezing tuition, Mr. Speaker. We're investing more in home care, Mr. Speaker. Just today we announced 24 new schools being built for our growing communities across the province, Mr. Speaker. We're ensuring that water on First Nations across the province will finally be drinkable, Mr. Speaker. That is how we are making life better for Alberta.
Second supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Alberta Party shadow budget prioritizes shovel-ready capital projects. The government, on the other hand, keeps announcing and re-announcing projects they can't build. How do we know that? Because last year they promised to build $1.2 billion worth of projects they didn't deliver, and the year before that it was $1.3 billion. To the Premier, how do misleading announcements make life better for Albertans?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Well, the honourable member should know that last year this government moved out over $1 billion more in spending on important infrastructure programs than the year before. We actually increased the amount that we were able to get in the ground and get built because we want to improve lives for Alberta families, Mr. Speaker. We want to give them the roads, the hospitals, the schools, the courthouses that they need in order to have the best possible life here in our province. And we're doing that every day, Mr. Speaker. We're working really hard to make sure that we make life better for Albertans.
Mr. Speaker, I proudly rise to table 5 copies of the Alberta Party Shadow Budget, Pathway to Prosperity, our detailed fiscal plan 2017 through 2021, which shows it is in fact possible to balance the budget within 4 years without cutting frontline public services Albertans rely on, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.